Hey guys, Desolate Magic here, and happy Monday, or at least it kind of is, because it's Ban Monday, woo, where they're not going to really fix anything. Magic should be at about a 10, we're at about a 17 now, I think they're going to turn it down to about a 15, so it's going to be still really not tolerable, but it's going to be, I guess, a little bit less of an embarrassment. So we knew they weren't touching Modern, which it turns out is not completely true. We knew that 2 cards were getting banned from Standard. Bare minimum, we knew exactly which 2 those were. And then we knew that Companion was changing. So, did they ban anything past the 2 cards that we knew that they were banning? And the answer is no. Unfortunately, in Standard and Historic, all they banned was Agent of Treachery and Fires of Invention. So Agent of Treachery, just about the worst card they printed in the last 2 years. The unwritten rule of stuff that steals stuff in blue is when the source dies, you get it back. I don't know why they thought you couldn't do that. Also, rule number 2, you can't steal lands. I don't know where they put those rules. Clearly they lost them when they designed that card. And then you get card draw on top of it. Once you've absolutely shut them down, then hit the gas pedal and draw free cards. What a great idea. I guarantee you the entire logic behind it was, yeah, but it costs 7. 7 is nothing, and every damn deck free casts it. So is Agent of Treachery really the problem? Let's be honest. No, it's all the color fixing, the free casting, and the ramp. And the flicker, because if you flicker it, you just activate it again without having to give anything back. So, okay, yeah, that's entirely Agent of Treachery's design problem. Now, for Fires of Invention, there's free casting, and then there's free casting where you gotta kind of prove something. You gotta put a restriction on it. That's why when this was first spoiled, I thought, well, it's free casting, but you have to have the mana. So it's just letting you spend your mana twice. Like, you cannot drop in a 9-cost spell without having 9 lands in play. That's how it's phrased. And I thought, okay, they finally did free casting right. Yeah, you get 2 to 1. Yeah, it's a 4-drop, but, you know, I'd put it at the extremely powerful but not necessarily broken level. And all people did was throw this into, like, a Lantern deck anyway, where all their lands could generate any color, like 5-color decks anyway. So, and you can't really say, yeah, but people can, accelerate it by 1 and drop it in on turn 3 with only, 1 mana dork and 3 lands. Well, cool. Now you can free cast 2 things that cost 3, which on turn 4 or turn 3 is pretty bad. Although I actually don't play this card. I assume Fires counts as one of the 2 spells. So then you're actually only spending your mana, well, still twice, but once to get this out, which doesn't really count. The real problem with Fires of Invention's decks are the sheer volume of land dump. It's not even the card draw, okay? It's not even like I'm free casting like a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cost, card draw spell. Oh, look, and a bunch of them are lands. Imagine that. In my opinion, they should have banned Fires and Growth Spiral. In fact, if they banned enough of the color fixing, it would have solved 10 different decks, and they could have let Fires be legal. I'm sick of seeing the stupid card. I would have banned it anyway, but that would have been the actual solution. So I think they absolutely missed the mark on this one. I'm curious what they say is the explanation for that. So we still have Esper Control. It's just we don't have the stealing portion of it, but we still have Esper Control. It's going to be board wipe, run your deck out, summon Jace, yeehaw. We still have the 2 to 4 color run your deck out on purpose Jace Vraska deck. That's a treat. And oh boy, it got 1,000,000% faster with Shark Tornado because now it actually has a win condition, like other than running out of cards. Wow. So it is an absolute disgrace to the game that Cavalcade, Embercleave, and Torbrand are still legal. They needed to get rid of one of them, and they did not. Witch's Oven and the Cat combo are still absolute cancer. And like I said, Esper Control shutdown, that's still a thing. It just got a little bit weaker, but it's still a thing. Cards that just should have banned in principle because they're so abused, like Spark Double, are still a thing. So get ready for Gyruda Spark Double. I mean, Gyruda just lost Agent of Treachery, but it doesn't matter. It's still total runaway. Same with Winota. Winota lost Agent of Treachery. So what? That's like the straight up FU turn 4, like you're done. She's still collected company. I mean, and that card should have been banned when it was legal. Like, are you kidding me? It's still an instant indestructible army. So I can't wait to see the second round of bans next month. And Risen Reef. The Elementals are going to come back. I mean, there's people still playing right now. Oh, and by the way, I don't think that the run your deck out Jace deck is going to be like number 1. I think Trawler is going to be the backbone of the new Esper Control deck. So they absolutely 100% should have banned Risen Reef for sure. Probably, I'll say Torbrand. I think I could deal with Embercleave and Cavalcade. arguably either Nissa or Hydroid Crisis, absolutely Wilderness Reclamation, and Trawler if I didn't say it yet. And I'm trying to think now with Agent of Treachery gone if Thassa and her stupid automatic flicker is actually a problem. I'm going to say it still is, because before people started playing that, they were playing Meteor Golem flicker. That's a real treat to play against. If you haven't seen it, I think it's a 3-color red, white, and blue land destruction deck with flickering destruction. Yeah. If you think all the obnoxious cancer decks are now gone from standard, no, we just rolled it back to what it was a couple months ago, okay? This didn't fix shit. Yarok is still legal. Oh boy. I mean, people could revert to playing Gates and Izzet Drakes for all I care, and I'll still hate the standard meta. It's just so bad, and there's like 50 cards that are just so toxic. Like, I can't wait to play against an all-in turn 4 Blitz, all that glitters aura deck. Love those. Like I said earlier, there is no fixing standard. You can't do it. Too many cards would have to leave, and they're not willing to do it. People are just going to resort to more broken shit, more broken shit, more broken shit. I mean, we're obviously going to see Adventures with Questing Beast come back. We're obviously going to see Divine Visitation, 2-color humans, black-white. We might even see Izzet Hybrid Drake's Arclight Phoenix. I mean, just, there's so many bad decks to fall back on. Bolus Super Friends Shutdown, 5-color. That's a fun one. Anything with Feather. Hexproof and Indestructible Creatures with Hydra's Growth on it. Golos free casting. Whoops, they missed one. We still have free casting. Oops. But yeah, the major threats are going to be mono red and 3-color control trawler. Those are going to be just utterly terrible. And then Simic Wilderness Reclamation with Explosion. They did not do anything, literally anything at all to stop them. So just naturally, like today, we're going to see those decks. So have fun on Arena, everybody. Don't get your hopes up. Let's see, when does this take effect? It is, June 4th. Oh, great. Cool. So don't play Arena for 3 days. So what is their explanation? They say, over the course of the last several weeks, Fires of Invention decks have risen to have a dominant win rate and metagame presence in Standard. Really? Because 2 weeks ago, you said that nothing had a dominancy and nothing looked bad. Standard was moving too quick for you to track, and you couldn't pin down what the problem decks were. But now you're saying several weeks. It's almost like several weeks ago, like a lot of weeks ago, when you told local gaming stores to sell their, I'll just call them event decks. I don't remember what the hell they're called. The broken pre-made tier 1.5 decks that they sold, one of them was Fires of Invention, and they told them, you can break street date by 3 days, sell them as quickly as possible, but we're not going to tell you why. I think that's when they made this decision. In fact, the decision was already made to ban Fires of Invention, clearly, but they waited until a couple weeks after those decks went on sale. And then they waited for some reason, the online arena tournament. That was a disastrous mistake. And they also waited for Icoria's paper launch in America. So that's when they addressed all this, when they could sell you the cards, then pull them out from under you. But to be honest, they didn't ban that many decks. And if you were playing one of these decks, you know damn well that you're on the chopping block and you're about to lose your deck. Like, if you didn't know that, you are the most clueless net decker I've ever met. I love when people are like, I just bought this deck and I just got it and I just started playing with it and I burned all my wild cards on it and this isn't fair. If you didn't see this coming, you're an idiot. Oh, I'm sick of getting my decks banned all the time. It cost me so much money to replace it. Then stop net decking and stop copying bullshit like this. I got to Mythic with a mono white deck, okay? You can too if you know anything about deck building and playing Magic well. So yeah, the win rate of Fires of Invention decks have been above 55%. Once again, for the millionth time, that is their benchmark. At one tournament, when they appear to have silently made this decision, Fires had a 71% win rate. During the Eldrazi Winter and Modern, I think it didn't quite clear 70, just to put it into context. I think it was like 61. So they said it was achieving a 55% win rate and having even or favorable matchups against each of the other top 10 archetypes, which, yeah. This indicates that metagame forces alone aren't sufficient to keep the deck in check. And neither is the community screaming at you to stop printing free casting, apparently. That won't keep it in check either. In addition, as we craft and test future environments, we've found the card Fires of Invention to be a significant design and balance constraint. Oh, so it doesn't work with the next core set either. Wonderful. Or Zendikar, which one's? I think core set's first. I don't know, who cares? It's Teferi. They're both cancer, I'm sure. Because of the flexible nature of the cost reduction effect, yeah, you should have said red spells and you should have said like 4 mana or less or something. Fires of Invention decks would continue to gain power as new high mana cost spells are added to the environment. So a little spoiler for the next set for you there. Which, yeah, core sets usually do go really high. They're usually like really fun bombs for like late game draft and stuff. So as new sets have been released, we've seen the win rates of Fires of Invention decks increase. It's almost like if you have more fuel for the fire and you've got more potential options to work with the universal card that works with anything, it gets worse. Who would have thought? Yep, that's how Magic's always worked. I guess they didn't know that. Oh, shocking headline. Wizards of the Coast doesn't know how Magic works. Because of the Fires of Invention deck's high win rate and metagame share, I love how they're pretending it's one deck. And the risks and design constraints it poses to the environment going forward, Fires of Invention is banned in Standard. Next, recently we've seen a rise in archetypes that use either Lucca Coppercoat Outcast, which I hate that card more than anything else in Standard right now, because it summons Agent of Treachery. Oh, or Winota Joiner of Forces to put Agent of Treachery directly into play. Yeah, you found out free casting is broken? Is that news to you? A 7-cost spell means nothing. You can throw it on turn 4. That's suddenly a revelation to you? Not 6 months ago. Just now you're figuring that out? Okay, congratulations. You are literally the stupidest organization. I would rank you intelligence and game wisdom wise under like subreddits. I'm so glad you're all in charge of the ban list. You're doing a great job, guys. Keep designing broken shit. While part of the design intent of these cards was to provide creative ways to deploy powerful high mana cost creatures, let me stop it right there. Never do that again. Never. That is never going to be okay. We've observed that using them to play an early Agent of Treachery can be uniquely frustrating. Yeah, and unfair and impossible to play against. It's not just frustrating, it's actually broken. It's not just our reaction to it, it is factually too powerful. So to play against and difficult to come back from. Well, at least they threw that in there. The effect of stealing any lands, yep, that's the problem, or key cards, yep, that's the problem, when at a high play rate, reduces diversity in the metagame. Don't forget flickering. Decks built around unique permanents or big creatures have less chance to succeed when opponents can steal their cards without specific deck building intent. Wrong. They're going to steal your shit before you ever get something big out. They're going to steal your land on turn 4, and you are never going to get anything out. They'll be lucky to steal a vanilla 2/2 from you, to be honest. Therefore, in order to allow for more comeback potential against Lucca and Winota decks, so they're going to leave Lucca in, and we're just going to summon the next worst creature they can come up with. Cool, great, thanks. And to promote deck building diversity in Standard, Agent of Treachery is banned. So we still have Golos and Winota for free casting. I'm sure there's more. I'm sure there's like 5 more, but from stuff people actually play. And for Historic, here's your proof. It's 1 paragraph. Here's your proof that Historic is literally just Standard, but with worse cards added. People keep telling me, Historic is completely different. It is literally exactly the same, but with worse cards. I don't know what the hell format you're playing. Maybe you think Historic means Historic Brawl? I don't know. Some people are just dumb. So for similar reasons as in Standard, we're choosing to suspend. Oh, suspend these nuts. They're banned. Shut the hell up. They're suspending Fires of Invention and Agent of Treachery and Historic. As we continue to watch Historic grow and monitor the evolution of the metagame, blah, 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 we're going to reevaluate it. When would it ever be a benefit to mankind to bring Fires or Agent back? Shut the hell up, Wizards. They are not suspended. They are permanently banned. They are never bringing it back. That said, I think they unbanned Field of the Dead, so who knows how badly they could mismanage this. So let's move on to how the heck they possibly could have fixed Companion, because we already know that from testing in, I'm not kidding, 1997 when they wanted to do this the first time, it was found to be insufficient to solely let them start with 6 cards instead of 7, because then it's just a 6-card opening hand plus 1 automatic card, still a giant advantage. So the question is, what the heck did they possibly do to fix it? I mean, people are throwing out, like, maybe make them start with 15 life. Well, in like a, trigger cascade deck, that wouldn't really work. In a control deck, that wouldn't really work. People are saying make them start with 5 cards. Well, you might as well just ban the whole thing then, because nobody's starting with 5 cards. So what they actually did is terribly creative, but it almost only fixes it for non-standard. It slows it down a bit. I'll give it to them. It was pretty creative, but I'm actually going to take back any credit I just gave them. They shouldn't have printed it in the first place. So, Companion rules change. While Magic rules changes aren't normally a part of the banned and restricted list updates, we really screwed up with this one, Mark. Oh, sorry, I misread that. It says, in this case, we're introducing a change to the companion mechanic that is motivated by game balance and metagame share across play environments, in other words, modern. Effective with this update, the companion mechanic and all cards featuring it will now work differently from before. The new version of the mechanic will work as follows. Once per game, anytime you could cast a sorcery, so during your main phase when the stack is empty, your main phase is, it should have said, you can pay 3 generic mana to put your companion from your sideboard into your hand. This is a special action, not an activated ability. I'm glad they said that, or I would have been all over them about 16 different rules that doesn't work with. It happens immediately and can't be responded to. It can't be countered or stopped by cards like Phyrexian Revoker, yeah, especially since that's not in Standard, but this applies to all formats. They should have said Repudiate and Void Slime, but whatever. And so it probably can't be stopped by like Graph Diggers either. In fact, now all companions can't be stopped by certain cards like that, because they're being cast from hand. That's nice. So they've actually made it worse. But for faster formats like Legacy, Vintage, and Modern, having to pay 3 could be your entire turn. So, you want to play Companion? You lose your entire turn, or you lose, half your mana for a turn if it's, Legacy or whatever. This does help out Standard a little bit. I mean, Yorion no longer has Agent of Treachery to bounce, but there's plenty of degenerate ETB shit still there. Planeswalker bouncing is still a huge, huge, huge problem, especially in 3+ color Super Friend control decks. So, yeah, paying 3 extra didn't really solve it because that deck can just keep going forever. So, I don't know. But yeah, unlike Modern and Legacy, yeah, kiss this goodbye. Nobody's playing this bullshit anymore. Our reason for making this change is based on metagame data and play rates of companion decks across all formats and on player feedback on repetitive gameplay patterns. Oh, suddenly that's on your radar after 8 years of Modern having repetitive gameplay patterns. As a group, decks using companions have too high of win rates and metagame share in, here we go, Standard, Pioneer, and Modern. You forgot Legacy and Vintage, and have already necessitated bans in Legacy and Vintage. Well, yeah, but that first statement is also true about those formats. This trend represents a long-term problem for the health and diversity of all formats. Rather than go down the path of making several individual adjustments to the ban list for each format, we feel the better solution is to reduce the advantage gained from using a companion across the board, when the entire community felt the solution was just make it illegal to play companion in every format other than Standard. Or maybe, Historic and Pioneer, and Brawl. Well, although Brawl, you basically get 2 commanders, so So I love how they just said this trend represents a long-term problem for the health and diversity of all formats. First of all, they said the same thing about white people. And secondly, really, you noticed this would be an ongoing problem. Well, clap, clap, clap for you. Want a gold star? We all, collectively as a community, figured it out before the set actually launched. Like a day into spoilers, we were like, well, that's not going to work. But you just figured it out now that it's inherently problematic. Well, great job. Next time, try to catch it 6 months earlier when you're designing it, and then don't print it. So the result we intend is to reduce the metagame share of companion decks while still capturing the spirit of the mechanics design and still having companions be worth building around. Still, once again, they're using that term incorrectly. In many cases, we expect that this new version of the companion mechanic will result in a deck building challenge and means of self-expression of whatever. Put some more artsy corporate speak bullshit in there for us, thanks. I'm going to skip to the next part. We discussed several alternative rules changes, but ultimately settled on this one, as it best mitigates the potential for repetitive gameplay and provides a wider window of interaction. By charging additional mana, playing a companion becomes less efficient relative to playing the other cards the player has drawn. In this way, players are more likely to cast their other spells before their companion, resulting in more divergent game paths. Yeah, 2 paths. You either play it or you don't. Oh, wow, it's still there. It's still available. It's still an option. It's still a free card. Next, this additional mana will often slow the companion down by a turn, allowing the opponent to interact with it while in the companion player's hand, or otherwise giving the opponent an additional turn to plan ahead. Yeah, hold a counterspell. Hold an Essence Scatter before the companion hits the battlefield. So, yeah, cool. It's rare that we use a rules change to address metagame balance. I mean, I can remember 2 times they did it recently, but okay. And this isn't something we have plans to do in the future. In this case, the issue wasn't with one individual card, but rather the companions as a group. I just realized 3 times they've done it recently. We believe the solution is preferable to potentially needing to make multiple bans across different formats over time. Yeah, you already said that. So then they go on to say the usual stuff, like you'll get some wild card refunds if you own these cards on June 4th, and you can still play them if you're still in a tournament until it ends, and all the normal crap. So anyway, that's what they did. I mean, still Nyx Bloom Ancient and Nissa are still legal, like among everything else I said in this entire video, so they really didn't fix anything. Standard's still going to be an unplayable shit show. It's just not going to be a complete and utter disastrous embarrassment for Wizards. It'll still be like, wow, they really don't know what they're doing at all, and Standard is still no fun to play, and all the decks are broken, but at least this turn 4 shutdown shit is gone. Can't wait to play against Draw Go Simic Flash Control. Woo, fun. Oh, and fun little fact for you. Wanted to save this little gem for the end. The companion change with the whole pay 3 thing was leaked on Reddit 8 days ago. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you next video, which is probably going to be the M21 leaks. Good job, Wizards. Good week.